what we will do, df dot columns. This is important because I cannot go each and every time back to see what columns that particular dataset is having. Okay, so first we look into invoice number because this is the first column that we are looking into. Now let's see, df dot df invoice number. Now in this column what we will do, let's see in invoice column if there are any different values or if that column is continuous. Okay, this is very important. Sometimes there are any different columns, different numbers because there are any data entry mistakes or the business is representing a certain value for a certain kind of order. So let's look into that. Okay, so data frame, in the data frame we are going to invoice number. We will write a code to find out that if there are any non-consistent values. Okay. For 0 to 9 numeric columns, if there are any blank spaces in there, or if there is any regex kind of okay. So what we have written this code here, what does that mean? This column means that in this this code means that in this column invoice number, is there any numeric if that column contains the value in this column contains any blank spaces, or regex means there are if there are any alphanumeric, suffix, prefix or anything like that. So let's see what there are, if there are any. So yes, definitely. So in our column, not just the numeric, but there are some space, and there are some invoice numbers with C. So let's see how many of them are there. So this is just, we are just changing unique to value counts. Okay, so there are only 8,905 rows with some suffix prefix of C. Okay, now I remember something in here. Let's go back here. What we are looking here, in quantity column, in quantity where the quantities values are negative, how many are there? The count is 8,905. Okay, so let me copy this, and here now that we are looking in the invoice number, there are some values with suffix C, 8,905. Now according to my intuition, let me see if these two numbers are interconnected. Okay, so this is my idea or doubt that this number where quantities are negative and in invoice number there is suffix C, suffix or prefix, we will see that, are it same similar number, are they related? Okay, so let me see that. So let me write a code to display where the quantity is negative. Okay, let me see if they are matching. Okay, so display df dot locate df dot quantity less than 0. Okay, what we are written here, display in the df dataset locate where in the quantity column of dataset df there are negative values are less than 0. So let's see what there are. Are you seeing how the raw data which is not clean, if you are just randomly going into it without using some kind of doubt or some kind of intuition, how much problem or how much relations you could miss. Okay, so in this data set, invoice number 8905, okay, and in this quantity there are negative quantities. Okay, what I want to see is my doubt correct? Okay. So what I want to see here, now I have created this variable here, because I have created now a new data set, okay, from the original data set df, where quantities are negative. Okay, so this is the x data set where only negative quantities of the rows are added. So let me see. In this x data set, invoice numbers string dot replace 0 to 9, and if there are any blank spaces, no suffix regress, and regress is equal to true and dot value counts. Can we see? If there are negative values, see how we uncover meaning out of data. Okay, how we do that? Here we created this data frame where quantities are negative. Now we are also seeing invoice number with prefix C, which is not everywhere. Okay, so there is no prefix at all or no suffix at all, and there are some suffixes with C. Okay, what does that mean? Is it cancelled order? Because this is cancelled or return order, the quantity is negative. Can we extract this meaning out of this data? In this new data set, now we will observe this. Clear? How we have extracted the meaning out of negative quantity in the column and prefix C in the invoice data. Okay. In real world, like in the office, when you're actually catering a client, you actually discuss with them that this is what I have observed. Is it okay to conclude in this way that these columns, these meaning is right? That I am concluding according to my observation that these things are return. That's why they are showing negative quantities. Now this is the first and very important thing when you are segmenting customers. This is very important, that how many customers are actually returning orders, how many customers are actually just cancelling orders. Is it because the product quality is cheap, or is there any other issue, inventory issue or pricing issue? Maybe they are getting any better prices somewhere. There may be anything, but our main goal is to see if the same customer is returning orders frequently, or if this is happening by chance. What we are looking into, if the same type of customer, is this a group of customer where they are frequently returning the orders, frequently cancelling the order, because this is a cost to the business. E-commerce business, this is a cost to e-commerce business, this is a loss of revenue. And now what we are needed to look into, are those customers similar? Because we are here to cluster them, to segment them, who are most important, okay, who are most prone to churn. What is churn? Churn means they are like, okay, they will leave, they may not order again from our e-commerce website, or they are just frequently returning order. And what is that frequency? Can you think about that, how we are getting into conclusions, towards the conclusion? This is just the first step, that we are observing that there are negative. What is negative? That means we have captured return orders, which is very important. Okay, so this is our first achievement in this data pre-processing step, that we have extracted negative, let me return orders or cancelled order. Fine. Now about again we will go back and look into every single number. Okay, though we have not visualized any data, any column, like visualizing this is plotting wise, but it is very important that we have actually getting some kind of conclusion even without visualizing. This is this should not be done in like a practice, but this is just the first step. We are just exploring the data, and this is just in the first step of exploring the data. We haven't even explored the data completely yet, huh? But still we are getting into some kind of information. We are extracting information out of that raw data. Okay, so let's see. Here we have dropped the null customer values. So now our number of rows are consistent. Okay, null values are 0. There are no null values. Okay. We are here. Congratulations to ourselves. We have uncovered the pattern here for negative quantity problem. Now, unit prices are equals to 0. This is not serving us right, because unit prices cannot be 0. And there are just 40. Compared to this lakhs of data, lakhs of rows of data, there are only 40 rows with unit price equals to 0. Can we drop that? Huh? Can we drop that? Definitely. So, let's see. Now, we will create. So this is time that we need to drop unit prices equals to 0. I have the same data set. I need to just clean the first data only. So df is equals to what we are looking into, data frame, where in the data frame unit price is not equal to 0. What have we written here? That means here we have dropped unit prices which are 0. That explanation is equal to 0, that means not 0. So let's see if we are getting here unit price equals to 0. Let's see. Now unit price is equal to 0. Okay, we have dropped it. What we have done here, we have created the data set where unit price is nowhere 0. That means zeros are dropped. So again I have written the code to check if there are any 0 values. So there are no 0 values. So our work is done. Okay, we have created this data set. We have dropped unit price equals to 0. Now what I want to do here is I will drop the description column. Why I'm dropping the description column? Because I don't think in the customer segmentation I need description or stop code column. Can you do you understand that? Because when we are creating customer segmentation, in the customer segmentation we are not using stock or description. We are not using the stock anywhere, what products they have brought, but we are just looking into their behaviors. When we are looking into their behaviors, we do not need to know the exact details of which product they have bought and which product they have not bought. So we can easily drop stock code column and description column. Okay, df is equals to df dot drop columns equals to so here we are dropping columns, stock code and description. Okay, df dot head. Okay, so now we have the consistent where we also do not need country column. So let's drop country column as well. Okay, so now we are here with absolutely necessary data. Okay, today's purpose is how we uncover the patterns and meaning out of the data. Okay, so this is what I'm looking. This is the data set that I was looking for. Okay, what we have: invoice number, we have quantities, we have invoice date, we have unit price, and we have customer ID. What do you think? Invoice date, do we really need invoice date in here? We might need the invoice date because we need to see how frequently a customer has bought or how frequently customer had made a purchase. Okay, we need this column. So can we work on this invoice date column now? So let's see. Now we will work on this invoice date column. This invoice date column, as we have seen before, this has D type of object and this is not serving us good. What we need? Here we need invoice date to date, pd dot to date time. Okay. So let's see, is equals to pd dot to date time. Customer is invoice date. Okay. We are going for format is equals to mixed because this is we cannot see that if there is any consistent values. Okay, so just for better purpose we will give the format is equals to mixed. Okay, now why we are going to date first? Because we need a consistency. Okay, if we are not giving the day first, that means sometimes they can give us a month first, year first, and some date can give us day first. Okay, so we need a most consistent, so we are giving this a code to instruct that I need my invoice date column this way. Now invoice date is equals to pd dot to date time. So what is the format? Do we really need format here? I don't think so. Okay, so now we have got our invoice date to date time. D type is to date time. Okay, now what we need is, do we really need this timing? For very deep like the real problem when we are looking into exactly what timing the customers are buying, that kind of behavior, if you are looking for that kind of behavior, timing might need. But now what we need to do is just separate this date and separate this time. Okay, so what we will do now? Now we will create a data frame where, for example, y, where we are only giving them invoice date column. Okay, so we are giving it pt.data frame pd dot data frame df invoice date. Okay, we have just created this random data frame because we need to just separate these two columns. Okay, now in this data frame, first data frame that we have, I'm going to create two separate columns. For one is date and one for timing. Date for invoice. df invoice date dot dt dot date. ठीक है, date time time. Okay, so df dot c. Perfect. Now we have separated this date column and time column from original column of invoice date. Okay, now what we will do, we know that currently a time column is not really serving us. Okay, seriously, time column is not serving us at the moment. So what we will do, this main column of invoice date and time, we will drop them. So df is equals to df dot drop columns. I will just copy this name and time. Okay, df dot fine. Okay, now we will create a separate column for these two, a separate feature from these two columns, quantity and unit price. What these two columns suggest us, that this particular customer has bought this much quantities with this much unit price. We need to see how much a particular customer is spending on our e-commerce website. So what we will do, we will create a separate column, df dot total price equals to df quantity number into df unit price. Okay, let's see, df dot, voila. So now we have a separate feature from a particular these two columns, that we have total price and quantity and unit price. Okay, we can we drop this unit price and total quantity now? Yes, definitely. Okay, so df dot, okay, this is repetitive, but I will tell you, this is very important that you do step by step thing, step by step and serially. Don't mix match. Take one job, complete it, then move on to another job. Okay? So what we need to drop here? We need to drop quantity and unit price. df dot head. Why I'm constantly telling you why df dot head? Because I'm telling you how we are reducing the original data to create a data which is absolutely important and ready for model training. For clustering and our main purpose of customer segmentation. Okay.